right? Because a lot of you guys have a lot of things to say about Teofimo Lopez. I want to camp out of this right here because this is a fight I really want to see. I think this is an extremely marketable fight. Both fighters are coming off of a loss. Both fighters are known to be pretty explosive fighters. And believe it or not, this was a fight that Top Rank was very interested in making at one point in time. In fact, I believe it was shortly after Brian Norman Jr. beat Giovanni Santillan, Top Rank was trying to put this fight together. And so look, Teofimo Lopez, he's already went ahead and he's confirmed that he's going to 47. He's going to the welterweight division, right? And I have my concerns with Teo because he wasn't punching at 140 pounds the way he was at 135. So if that power didn't carry up from 135 to 140, it's possible Teofimo Lopez can go from 35 to 47 and be like Paulie Malignaggi. He may not have no power up there. Like I'm that concerned because his whole run at 140, his only stoppage victory is against Pedro Campa. He didn't stop Jermaine Ortiz. He didn't stop Sandor Martin. He didn't stop Shakur Stevenson. He didn't stop Steve Claggett. I mean, he didn't stop Steve Claggett, and that was made to order. So if the power wasn't there at 40, why would I believe that it would be there at 47? That's just common sense, right? Now, I think Teofimo Lopez versus Brian Norman Jr., that fight would be electric. That fight would sell itself. People would be intrigued about that fight. And I'll tell you this, man, like Teofimo Lopez, I think he has the ability to actually box because I've seen it in the amateurs. Norman had some problems dealing with the boxer in Devin Haney. Obviously, it's different than Teo. But I just think, look, man, you talk about two dynamic fighters, two dynamic personalities, two guys that desperately need a win. You listen, man. If you want to see a fight if you want to see a fight in a promotion that would knock it out the park with Top Rank, this is the fight. I don't want to hear about nothing else. Brian at 147 for both these guys, you can't do no better than this fight. Brian Norman Jr. is trying to get a Devin Haney rematch, right? Now, if he doesn't fight Teofimo Lopez, right, he's going to either have to fight Rohan Polanco or Tiger Johnson. Those are two in-house options for Top Rank. And if he doesn't fight those guys, maybe he fights Jack Catterall, maybe he fights Karen. But realistically, Brian Norman Jr. versus Tiger Johnson or Rohan Polanco. Those are easy in-house options to make. Now, if Teo moves to 147, like he says, because he's been a world champion at 140 and 135, he has a higher level of standing with the sanctioning organizations, with the sanctioning bodies. And Teofimo Lopez is going to automatically get ranked the minute that those sanctioning bodies are notified and they update the rankings. So you understand? So Teofimo Lopez is going to be in position ranked in and around Brian Norman Jr. And it comes down to this, okay? Is Top Rank willing to put up the kind of money for that fight? Because Teofimo Lopez, he's a guy that commands a good payday. Brian Norman Jr. has now graduated to a level where he commands a good payday, especially after the year he had last year. So I don't know. The big issue with that fight happening might be the fact that the Top Rank doesn't have a network. Top Rank doesn't really have anybody foot in the bill as far as a big time network. So that could be why it doesn't happen. I'll tell you this. It'd be crazy if Brian Norman Sr. trained Brian Norman Jr. and Teofimo Lopez Sr. trained Teofimo Lopez, Jr. That would be a sight to see. That'd be a buildup. That'd be something worth seeing. I think the fight sells itself, but that's just me. That's me thinking out loud here. My man says, I feel that Teofimo Lopez is too small for 147 pounds. Agree or disagree? I don't think he's too small. I just don't think his power is going to carry up. He's not a guy whose power carries up. That's been shown at 140. I don't think he's that much he ain't that much smaller than all these other welterweights. But mechanically speaking, his power is not carrying up. Shout out to Johnny. He says Shakur needs to go down and fight Oshaki Foster. They got beef, and Teo can fight Giovanni Santillan or Brian Norman Jr. He can't fight Giovanni Santillan because Giovanni Santillan is no longer a 147-pounder. Giovanni Santillan actually had his 154 debut this week on the Xander Zayas undercard, and he won. So that fight is not a possibility. Tio versus Norman is the fight to make. Telling y'all right now, True School Consultations is telling you right now, Tio versus Norman is the fight to make. And as far as Shakur versus O'Shaquie Foster, I love that fight. You got, that's a fight that's strictly for boxing purists, for people that love the sweet science, because those are two fighters that box from the outside, that keep it real patient and long and professional. And it might be a boring fight, but when you look at Shakur's career, a lot of the guys he's beat: Tio, Joet Gonzalez, Artur Haratunian, Toka Khan Clary, all them guys. The majority of his opponents, they come right to him, right? And when you got a guy who's a master boxer like Shakur Stevenson, the best style for him to deal with in the ring is, front foot dominant guys that bring the fight to him, because he can sit there. He can dictate the fight with his feet, with his lead hand, with his probes, things like that. And if those guys don't have good balance, if those guys lean over their front foot, that gives a guy like Shakur plenty of counter-punching opportunities. You understand? We haven't really seen Shakur Stevenson in there with another guy that's like him, that's an elite outside boxer, someone that can slow the pace down at an elite level. And look, people doing all this talking about what Shakur did to Tio, and it was great, but let us not forget, because it wasn't so long ago. It hasn't even been 60 days since O'Shaquie Foster blanked Stephen Fulton. And mind you, it was a fat Stephen Fulton that was unmotivated and didn't even show up. It looked like he did his whole camp at the Poppy store eating cheesesteaks. But nonetheless, it is still Stephen Fulton, and he did 12 owe him, and that is still something, right? So you can say both of them beat unmotivated opponents that weren't there, but boxing is a results-based business. You go to camp for 8 weeks, you sign a contract, and you get judged strictly on what you do in that ring. It doesn't matter if you didn't feel good, if your girl if you and your girl have problems, nothing matters. Only the ring is what matters. It's a results-based business, and the result for Shakur was a masterclass against Tio, and the result for Foster was a masterclass against Fulton. And I feel like, look, when you look at all the options available in and around the weight, I think O'Shaquie Foster is probably stylistically one of the toughest fights out there for Shakur Stevenson. I want to see it. I want to, James Prince, right? Shout out to brother James Prince. James Prince is from Texas. O'Shaquie Foster is from Texas. James Prince, are you gonna do your brother from Texas like that? That wouldn't be right now, would it? Give that man a shot, because funny enough, the WBC pulled some bullshit when Fulton missed weight. If you guys remember, the 135-pound interim title was on the line for that fight against when they fought, when Foster and Fulton fought each other. So that would technically mean that Shaq Foster, he's right there. He's in position, and he's willing, ready, and able to go up there and fight Shakur Stevenson. You understand? So I'm with all that. I want to see that fight. Shout out to MEZBX. He says, what does he say? He says that Tio and Norman should fight 2 nights at 147, then fight each other in a big fight this fall or winter. I'm not against that either. I'm not saying it has to happen right away, but I think in this calendar year, I would say in the fourth quarter of this year, I think Tio and Norman should fight each other. Put them in a doubleheader. Top Rank loves doubleheaders. Put them in a doubleheader. Pick a guy from the lower part of the top 15 in the sanctioning bodies, and then if they both win, line it up for the fourth quarter of this year. And I think you have a very good fight in your hands, because boxing fans know Tio. They know